cute too.
I'm sorry, really sorry.
You are?
No, it's my fault.
It is your fault.
Yeah, I know it's my fault. That's why I'm saying sorry.
She thinks it's cute that her driver almost hit my kids, and she thinks she needs to take a video of it instead of apologizing like a saint.
So stopping in the middle of the road is gonna help?
You being a bitch is gonna help?
I've been saying.
I don't know. Calm down. Calm down.
It's okay. I'm sorry.
He apologized.
It's my fault.
He apologized.
Yeah, I know.
And you know what? That didn't upset me. But the bitch ass hoe
Sorry.
that told you to calm down. What I'd like you to do is apologize instead of being a bitch.
You're calling me sorry, but you're calling me a bitch. I'll set an example.
I'm sorry. My kids can't hear me calling you a bitch.
Your window's open.
They can't hear me because they're listening to Kids Bop. Attitude?
It's
sucks
okay.
Dick.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this beautiful lady that you're hearing, the beginning of this episode, I don't know if her name is actually Karen. Listen, I've been so against the usage of that term, this stereotypical word for this kind of person, but man, some people are just miserable creatures. I want to break this video down. There is so much weird shit that happens in it. You almost got to watch the video, ladies and gentlemen. Just YouTube. My kids are listening to K-pop. First off, what is K-pop? And that's what's stopping them from hearing you? K-pop. What is K-pop? It's a genre of music originating in South Korea. Oh, tight. Yo, that lady, that would be the last thing I would expect her kids listening to be honest with you. I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but what does K-pop sound like? Am I gonna completely have this video taken down? 855 million views? Holy shit. Let's see what this sounds like. I'm only gonna play a little bit. This is K-pop. Okay, we got some handsome Korean fellas. Oh, heartthrobs, all of them. Okay, we're walking off of a... Oh, bah. Sexual. Drinking a glass of milk? Ooh. All right. Listen. I'll be honest with you guys. Your boy's into K-pop now. All right. I didn't know it was this funky. By the way, call me ignorant, but I thought K-pop was going to be Korean. These boys were doing some good old-fashioned American pop. They literally just the Korean version of the Backstreet Boys with more feathery hair. That's how I saw it. But this video, this lady, calm down. What makes someone have that kind of road rage? And you know who I feel most sorry for out of this whole situation? This whole situation.
Was apologize instead of being a bitch.
You're calling me sorry, but you're calling me a bitch. I'll set an example.
I'm sorry. My kids can't hear me calling you a bitch.
Your window's open.
They can't hear me because they're listening to Kids Bop.
Oh my God, I completely misread that. But you know what? I thought she said K-pop. She said Kids Bop. Okay, this makes sense because a crazy hoe like this is for sure going to make her kids listen to weird shit. Okay, but I'm glad because I found K-pop from this. What's Kids Bop? Kids Bop. I'm not going to get flagged on some database for Googling this, am I? Kids Bop? Okay, we got some just corny ass shit. We have basically Radio Disney. I used to fuck around with Radio Disney back in my day. Yeah, this is... these are all just a bunch of kids that are going to spend a lot of money on therapy when they get older. This Kids Bop shit isn't natural. Don't do this to kids, all right? Don't do this to kids. Yeah, they're going to all have problems for sure, especially that one. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wednesday. Getting wild on a Wednesday, because that's what we do. Crazy shit going on in the world. Listen, welcome to the apocalypse. It's finally really the apocalypse because Texas froze. Texas, listen, I'll be honest with you guys. I always, and I'm one of the people that I'm always going to have a soft spot for my hometown and for the state I'm from, California. Listen, I'm from here, baby. California roots. Your boy has plans to move to Texas. You already know this, man. If you've been listening to the podcast, you already know this. But I still roll my eyes whenever Texans talk about, don't California my Texas and all this shit. Because I'm just like, you want to say that Austin was Californiized or whatever you want to call it? Oh, I'm sorry we made your city the foodie capital of the world. Oh, I'm sorry we're bringing all this industry and technology. Okay? And what I mean is in the past 6 months even, Texas has gotten real cocky. Something with Joe Rogan moving there and just the state of everything, and everybody wants to talk about hands-off government and all this shit and regulation. Texas has gotten very up in its own shit. Just, yeah, we're the best around here. And they, in a lot of facets, they're right. They're right. Except for one place. In the middle of a blizzard. All right? In the middle of a blizzard. Listen, Joe Rogan should be getting paid by the state of Texas for advertising. Okay? He's done an amazing job marketing it. And I'm going there because your boy can afford a house there. And barely. And comedy. I think it's gonna be a good scene. Okay? It's always been kind of an entertainment scene. And to be honest, when I first went to live in Texas in 2016 or 17, I believe, was there for about a year, and I loved Dallas, and I hadn't been to Austin yet, but I had a plan to move back to Texas because of entertainment, because I was doing music at the time and comedy, and I knew I didn't really like LA. So I always kind of was going to go back because I think it's a good entertainment scene in general. But that's besides the point. The point is, Texas, there are millions without power right now in Texas. Some of my friends reaching out to me, just fucking bundled up, and they're not used to it. How crazy is that? Texas, of all the places you're like, where is a winter storm gonna hit and just completely knock millions of people, out of power? Wouldn't have been Texas. I wouldn't have guessed it. All the pipes frozen, no gas. So it's like there's no heater. Power goes out intermittently. That's rough. But to be honest with you, Texas kind of needed this. Okay? Texas kind of needed this. They've gotten very cocky in the past 6 months. And this is coming from someone who's moving there. All right? But y'all got very cocky. Y'all like, but the view in California, whenever something would happen, but the view, the weather. I just love texting my friends in Texas. But the house prices. That's what I was sending to people. People who, when my power was out here and talking about the prices and just shit going on in California, they would text me all smugly. Oh, but the view. Oh, but the weather. I just wait. Okay, I'll have my day. Boom. Blizzard. People without power, millions. Oh, but the house prices, bitch. But in all seriousness, I hope everybody gets their power, Just crazy times. Crazy times, ladies and gentlemen. I saw this in the news. Crazy Olympic swimmer. We're going to Google this. Olympic swimmer caught in drug bust. This is nuts. This is on the news yesterday. Sydney police says 1996 Australian Olympic swimmer ran drug syndicate. Former Australian Olympic swimmer Scott Miller was in custody on Tuesday and charged with drug trafficking after Australian police seized methamphetamine valued at 2 million Australian dollars, which is 1.6 million shrimp on the Barbie in America, because he was directing a criminal syndicate. Wow. How nuts is this? I guess listen, this was not a small operation. Watson said they were well organized and well financed. Of course, this man was Olympian. He was getting all that Wheaties sponsorship or whatever the fuck Australians' version of that. Got koalis or something for breakfast. Obviously, I've never been to Australia. Wow. Oh, he won a gold medal in the World Championships in Rio de Janeiro in 1995. This is one of those things, though, where if you really stop and think about the Olympics and like an Olympian, how small is that window that you're an Olympian, but you like identify as that for the rest of your life, which is a good and a bad thing because you kind of get pigeonholed. It's hard to go on to just be a regular person, after you're an Olympic gold medalist, people just look at you weird. If you're like, oh, I'm doing Uber. It's just like Uber is not a thing to be ashamed of, but it's like for some reason when you've hit that accolade of being an Olympic gold medalist, you can't just become an Uber driver, An Uber driver is something that you do on the way to what you're going to do, But you kind of get pigeonholed as that. I wonder, I would play with it, see? If I was running a drug syndicate and I was an Olympic athlete and I was a gold medalist, I would be being very cute with my names of like methamphetamines. I'd be like the gold medal amphetamine or something like that. This is gold meth. This is silver. Like I would have a lot of, very themed, I'm very into themes. I'd be on Pinterest coming up with ideas, But it isn't weird because, listen, I did swim growing up, and it is one of those things where you're so dedicated to that. Like it seems like as an Olympic athlete, you have a very small window where you're at that level, but that person has been swimming their entire life since they're probably like 6 years old. But on the surface, once you hit that, what do? There's not a lot of options for an Olympic athlete as a career. It's very narrow. What are you going to do? Motivational speeches? Fucking Phelps has that fucking market cornered. What are you going to be becoming a trainer? You can be a sponsored athlete. You can do appearances. But that's not for everybody. And some people are like, nah, I need to feel alive. When they're like, what makes people feel alive more than anything? Methamphetamines, And then the chance of like getting caught, there's got to be a rush with that, right? You're just running this whole syndicate and you're just like, yeah, like I'm a kingpin, a drug lord. It's intoxicating. You watch Narcos, you're like, oh, I could get down on that. You can only get down on it on the fun shit though, because then you think about like what drug lords' days are really like. Probably not that fun, not that exciting. All the stuff that doesn't make it in the movie. Just always living in fear of other people trying to kill you. That's not fun. There was another Olympic athlete, since we're on the topic, Cleat Keller, an America. He was an American swimmer, former Olympic swimmer Cleat Keller, indicted on 7 charges over U.S. Capitol riots. My man went to the Capitol. 3-time Olympic swimmer Cleat Keller has been indicted on 7 charges related to the January 6 riots at the U.S. Capitol during the counting of electoral votes. Oh man. An FBI agent had written in a criminal complaint that he was able to identify Cleat Keller, who is 6'6", in part because of his height. The agent also noted the Team USA jacket that Keller wore during the riot. Oh man. Oh, Keller won gold medals in the 2004 and 2008 Olympics. in relays. But wow, I don't know. Listen, the Capitol riots were such a crazy thing. You ever think back, like, before I get too down this rabbit hole, but like, it was such a crazy thing, because my question is, I'm a thinker, at least I try to be. What is the next step after this? Okay, I like to create a plan, and I like to lay it out. Okay, well, if I get to this part of the plan, this will happen. And then if this happens, how am I going to react? Where does this go after here? It feels like, and this is a point to the kind of people that stormed the Capitol, they didn't think past step one. They were just like, we stormed the Capitol. There had to be someone in the back like, what do we do once we're in the Capitol? Did I stutter? We storm the Capitol. Okay, I got that in my notes, but like, once we're in there, what next? We storm it. We are lightning. We are thunder. Okay, but like, what about when police come? We take pictures, okay? We're going to take pictures, and we're going to post them on the gram and use the hashtag storm the Capitol, okay? And use my code for bulletproof vests and truck flags for 10% off at checkout. We fucked that one up. But that really was like, that seemed, listen, and shout out to them. Listen, I'm known for over complicating things. Sometimes you just gotta simplify your life, okay? So shout out to them, because they set a goal, they checked it off. They just said, hey, we're storming the Capitol. We didn't say we're taking the Capitol over. We're not going to make real change happen. We're just going to storm it. And they did it. They did it. But like, I don't know. I have a hard time thinking that there wasn't some people there that were just like, well, what happens after this? You know? And just, if I would have been at that meeting, I feel like I would have raised some flags. But it also makes me wonder, because like, this is some shit. Like, you can't get away with things as much anymore. Like, think about back in the Western days, what you can get away with. There was a famous bank robber who all they would do, I'm sure it's not all they would do, they would go from town to town robbing the banks, and then burning all the deeds and debt and everything like that, because it was just on paper. There was no paper trail. You burn it, gets lost in the fire. There's no proof of what people owe. So they would literally relinquish people's debts by robbing the bank and like setting all these papers on file. Tight move. But you can never pull something like that off today. We just have too much technology, all right? We've advanced ourselves into a corner, okay? I think about that with like assassinations and everything back in the day, that like, in the Western times, you could just like walk behind a building with someone with a fucking revolver and just be like, bang. And then you just go around the other side and people are like, what happened? We just found a dead body. And then you have some fucking weirdo come in and was like, I'm a detective. And they would try solving the mystery. Now it's just like so easy. They're like, well, let's check forensics. Do we have street cameras? Okay, well, boom, you're caught. Oh, cool. Your niece did a 23andMe. Now we have, DNA from this. Now we're going to get it from your cup in your trash. And now we caught you. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, good. It was actually a crazy story. Maybe you do. But DNA from genealogy site was used to catch the suspected Golden State Killer. This was back in 2018, and this is when everybody was doing 23andMe. Joseph James D'Angelo, 72, a former police officer, was arrested on Tuesday. 2 counts of murder, and the way they found it was because a relative to them did 23andMe. And they knew they had a match, so what they did is they found, let's see... Oh, but they went through the trash. So once they spiked it, it doesn't even have to be you, but they found like DNA on a murder weapon or something like that. and then they went through his trash and was able to actually match it up, but it was just straight through 23andMe. So crazy shit, ladies and gentlemen. That's why it's just hard to pull off these heists anymore. I don't know what you do when you want to storm the Capitol. It isn't a good look, you know. It looks like homeboy was acquitted. I don't know why I wasn't even going to talk about Trump and the acquittal. I'm just so over it, all right? Talking about the politics. Your boy's done, all right? We've checked out. But speaking of politics, Gina Carano, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, I'm all for people being able to speak their mind. I think there's a big thing on social media, especially. I like how I say I'm not going to talk politics, but you know, that is very left-leaning and very liberal and very PC. And you see people on the right side constantly getting canceled and just completely their careers destroyed. Gina Carano, if you don't know, I followed Gina Carano's career for a long time, at least going back 13 years maybe. She was she's probably the first big female MMA star, and she was a great fighter, and she transitioned into entertainment, and I was very happy for her. This was like her big role. She was on The Mandalorian, and if you don't know what The Mandalorian is, get a TV. And she had a very cool part, but she kept getting in trouble for having these very right-wing beliefs, and she fucked up big time. And you know, she said some shit. She made a post which was just so dumb. She basically, I was going to find the actual one, but I'll just paraphrase for you. She basically said that, I found it. She said, Jews were beaten in the street, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Oh. You gotta be very careful when you start making connections to the Holocaust. It's gonna cost you your whole career. Bars, ladies and gentlemen. But it was just such a dumb move. How, especially because they've tried to cancel her before, and she's gotten lucky. You know, you can't listen. You got to know what industry you're in, and you can't try to. If you're in that machine, you did it to yourself. Oh, you're gonna get canceled eventually. All right, and you're not helping it when you post this dumb shit. It's just in the wording and the phrasing. There's a way that she could have said this. At least if I'm trying to understand what she meant. And what she meant was that people being hated for their political... There's no way you can actually try to flip this. You fucked up, Gina. You fucked up. We were all rooting for you, and you fucked up. And I don't know how you make that connection of people just not liking you and hating you for your political views. How do you compare that to the Holocaust? How, especially when you use the wording, how is that any different? Well, you might need to read a history book, okay? You might need to go to, what is it, the Museum of Intolerance? Museum of Tolerance? Is that the one? Yeah, Museum of Tolerance. That was a crazy museum. I went to that when I was I've been to it a couple times. I went in college, and I went when I was a kid. And I remember it talks about, you know, all the concentration camps, the gas chambers, some of the fucked up things they did. And they did it in a really cool way, where a way that was impactful and profound. They gave you, when you first went into the Museum of Tolerance, when you went on this like tour part of it, they gave you a piece of paper with a name and an age of someone that was in the camp. And I got a kid who was like around my age. I don't know if they pick it based on you, but they go around and they give you a card or something. As you keep going through the tour at different parts, you start learning more about your person. And basically you were supposed to identify as that person when you went through it. You're supposed to oh, it's like you're playing a video game almost, like in the sense of like, oh, this is my character. Like, oh, I have, and they would start showing you a timeline of what your particular person went through. And then sadly in the end, I remember my kid, he passed away from something, and I remember just being like, holy shit. Like, it was really impactful the way they did it. And I feel like that's something that doesn't really get talked about a lot, is the Holocaust and how fucked up that really was. And it's just this kind of thing from Gina Carano, which is like, man, it's so out of touch. And it's so, people get so lost down a hole and on a team that they start saying dumb shit like this. Perception is everything, Perception is everything. You ever see the people post things where they're just like, all the haters and blah, 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 and y'all don't want me to win and blah, blah, blah. When in reality, no one really feels like that. You don't really have haters. You just have these insecurities or painted a picture in your head to where you think that's reality. I think that's a thing where maybe her perception is that people on the right have been attacked so brutally and blah, blah, blah. Maybe, I don't even know, maybe there's like off cases of these right-wing people who are being killed and blah, blah, blah for political beliefs. But it's so down a rabbit hole. It's like they went down a rabbit hole, took a left, made a right, and came out the other side. I don't know. They got lost down there. And I think that's the same vein of anybody who's extreme, no matter what side it is, It's like when you just get in an echo chamber and you get around a lot of people, it gets weird. And social media creates echo chambers, It's kind of a weird place. And something I just learned and just realized, I have such a weird relationship with social media because I'm on it. I promote things. Obviously I have the podcast. The podcast is different though, because it's not controlled by algorithms or anything else like that. And you know what's fucked up? I got some kind of shadow banned when I started making fun of vegans. I've talked about this so many times. I apologize, but fuck them. And my account was never the same. People couldn't find me. They couldn't see this. Everything dropped with like engagement. And then not only that, recently after I watched the Social Dilemma or whatever it was, I turned off all social media notifications, and I'm only allowed on social media 15 minutes a day. And since I did that, everything went down so much. Part of like social media, what they want to do, this is a crazy thing with the algorithm that's been proven, is they want to keep you on Instagram. So if you have your notifications on and you posted something, if you don't go on social media, it'll boost the algorithm so that you come back to social media if you have notifications on, because they want to get you back on the platform. So we need to put this post up, okay? So you post something, you get off social media. If you don't have notifications, Instagram they don't care to pump it because you're not even going to get the notification. So they don't even think you're going to come back. So they're rewarding algorithms and engagement with how long you'll spend on the app, which is pretty gross, That kind of stuff makes me want to get off completely. Giggity, Which eventually I might figure it out. I might figure out a way to, because I love the podcast. Honestly, I love doing the podcast, and the podcast has been steady growing. And I want to give a shout out to a bunch of the new listeners, listen, your boy has the statistics. And I'm ashamed to say, California, my own home state, you guys aren't even the top people listening to me. Okay? You're not even the top people listening to me. You know who I want to give a shout out to? 4 times smaller than California and 100 more listeners a month than California. Columbus, Ohio. What's up, baby? This is coming to you live. Columbus, Ohio. I ain't never even been there, but for some reason, y'all like being 7 minutes in heaven, and I respect it. I respect it, ladies and gentlemen. That was something I had no idea. You know, it's cool to be able to go through statistics and break it down because, dude, social media, the more I got off of it, and I'm not really someone who's like, oh my God, I got to get more likes on this and blah, blah, blah. But I start paying attention and I'm just like, why is this going down and this kind of engagement? But the podcast is steady increasing. And that's when I start searching about when you turn your notifications and everything off. It's just gross. But I understand it. At the end of the day, social media is a business, and their business is keeping people, their eyeballs on their product, which is you for advertisers. So if I'm not a product, why do they have any incentive to keep me there? You know? But yeah, I just thought that was amazing that Columbus, Ohio, you silly geese out there, what is Columbus, Ohio known for? We're going to find this out right now. Okay. Football. Many German immigrants settled in Columbus. I bet you guys love that Holocaust bit I just did, huh? Yeah, this is cool. All right. Columbus was home to America's first middle school. Wow, look at y'all fancy with the middle school. The first woman to fly a plane around the world was from Columbus. Look at y'all equality motherfuckers out there. Just doing it. Almost half of the U.S. residents live near Columbus? What the fuck? That doesn't even make any sense. Guy Fieri was born in Columbus. Say no more, fam. Say no more. What kind of food y'all got in Columbus, Ohio? I feel like that's a big thing. But obviously, I got to give love to California also because next to Columbus, California is my biggest supporter. And New York. We got listeners in Canada, Brazil, Russia. Shout out to Russia, India, obviously Pakistan. Listen, I don't know if I told this on the podcast. I was number 4 in Pakistan on comedy. What? Huh? Got that email. Had no idea you guys were listening. All right? I mind my P's and Q's when I'm on here. But it's just great, ladies and gentlemen. It feels good. But yeah, I want to wrap up about this Gina Carano thing. She lost her job. That was the big thing, is that she got fired from Disney. And the way that it happens, I'm against. I'm against mobs. I'm against this cancel culture of people on Twitter creating these hashtags. Twitter is the most toxic place. I talk about Instagram's algorithms, but Twitter is so toxic. Nothing good is going to come from reading the Twitter comments, all right? Or just what happens on there. It's just people go on there to spew hate. It's the physical embodiment of the lady that I played in the beginning of this podcast. My kids can't hear me. They're listening to Kids Pop. God, that'd be terrible to have that person as a mom. But that's what Twitter is, okay? And I don't like that these people get together and they put so much pressure on these studios and to get these things canceled. And I hate that it works, because it's never going to stop. And it's going to get to a point where it starts eating its own tail and it's going to, completely backfire. And I think it is, it was something, there's a statistic that 2% or 3% of the people on Twitter do like 98% of the tweeting. Yeah, think about that. That's such a small fraction of people are actually the ones tweeting everything. And it's these like crazy extremists. But I feel like studios have to not give into this. They have to ignore it and just not pay any mind because, dude, once you let it in, Pandora doesn't go back in the box, There's also, I saw in Minneapolis, where a lot of the defund the police thing was going on, that now they're getting complaints from the public of police response times and crime skyrocketing in Minneapolis. Oh, really? You thought that was a good idea to defund the police, so you actually did it? And then now they just passed a bill yesterday to refund the police because they realized they fucked up. This is what happens when you guys listen to kids, okay? This is what happens. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to end on that note. Let's see. Wednesday. Getting wild on a Wednesday. Yeah, baby. We're going to keep evolving the podcast. I keep saying it to you guys. I had guests lined up. Things happened during the pandemic, all right? I understand, but we're going to keep it moving, pimping. We always do. We always do, baby. And I'm going to keep you guys in the loop of some stuff coming up pretty soon here. But I just hope you guys get after it, all right? We're getting close to coming up on a year of this pandemic. And some people, listen, some people have been living their life like nothing even happened, and that's great. If you can pull it off, that's great. A lot of people, they barely look through their curtains. And to that person, listen, you got to check in on your mindset. You got to make sure you're doing things for you. You got to realize, you got to, especially people working from home, okay? Listen, your boy's been self-employed for a hot minute. I've been dealing with this working from home thing for a while. So let me spread my seed a bit on this topic to help you out. Giggity. I didn't mean to make that so dirty with spreading my seed, but seed of knowledge, if you will. Okay. Schedule and be disciplined. If you're working from home, even if you're not self-employed, but you have to work from home, you got to get routines. You got to switch things up. Oh, I'm going to work on the patio today. Oh, I'm going to work in the kitchen. Oh, it's Wednesday. I get wild on a Wednesday. I'm working in the backyard, And you got to make it fun, okay? You got to do your best to keep a routine, because I'll tell you one thing. Your boy gets up in the morning. I still follow my rituals, routines. I get ready for the day, even if I'm not going anywhere. Okay? Why? Don't want cabin fever. It's a real thing, where you just kind of stop getting ready and then every day starts melting into the next day. That's a hard thing to deal with. So you gotta fight it. You gotta proactively deal with that. And I think we gotta realize what we're in right now. Things do kind of start feeling repetitive. We're getting close to a fucking year of being in a pandemic from the first lockdown. I think it was March 3rd. March 17th, something like that. But it's crazy we're coming up to a year. It's crazy how much stuff has changed in a year, But I hope y'all just stay positive. There's a lot of people going through stuff that they feel out of control with their life. And, because I have people reach out and I'll talk to people. And there's people who feel like they're out of control with their life. And my advice is always just try to control the things you can and make baby steps progress towards what you want to do. You got to figure out an actual plan, a goal, write it down, and baby steps every day you can take to get there, Small steps, baby, compound interest. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I leave you with episode 118. Remember, no matter what, I love you.